Loyal viewers, hello once again. You're in for a real treat. I'm here with the founder of the Melbourne International Festival of Brass, or is it the co-founder? Anyway, Mr. Geoff Collinson. Tell us a little bit, Geoff, about how the festival started, 10 years ago now.
10 years ago it started in a corridor, actually, strangely, with after a Michael Burtoncello masterclass. This is way back when Michael was actually living in Zurich, and he'd just completed a masterclass at the VCA. And at the time I had a lot to do with the VCA, and I was just seeing such an amazing effect on the young people that through this masterclass, and it just hit us basically at that point. We have to do something. We have to try and do something to create a long-term impact for Australian brass players. There's lots of things happening for all sorts of other instruments, but there's very little on offer for brass players. So out of that little conversation in a corridor, two gooses gave it a go at trying to put it together in about, I think the first one happened in under 12 months.
So the first festival was 2003, so we're talking 2002 you had this corridor conversation?
That's correct. Yeah, 2002 we had the conversation, and I think the first one might have been in April from memory. 2003 certainly wasn't September. We did it the first time earlier. So after a quick phone call to Barry Tuckwell to ask whether he'd be our first patron, that's when we just sort of went, holy crap, we're going to do it.
So how does one go about organising an international music festival? I mean, for those loyal viewers who might not be aware, Geoff Collinson's a bit of a legend of a French horn player. He was principal horn with the AOBO, I think, for 10 years, then decided that wasn't fun enough, so went and did some teaching, had a very, very well-respected horn studio going. Then he gave that away and decided to run an international multimedia internet company. But Geoff, back at the time, how did you go about trying to organise an international brass festival?
That's an extremely good question. We didn't know what we were doing. Fortunately, because of Michael's connections and my connections, we luckily could pretty much contact or work out how to contact anyone in the world at the top end of the brass community. So we knew how to do that. We didn't know a whole lot about the rest of it, and we've just learnt by flying by the seat of our pants basically from the beginning. We without, I think, it's reasonably common knowledge, we lost a very large amount of money in the first year, and struggled to sort of keep that going ever since. But it takes a hell of a lot of learning, and I have amazing respect for anybody that can do this. The amount that actually goes into it. The thing that we've struggled with has obviously been some of the financial backing in the context of the amount that you really do need to put into your publicity and all the things that actually go around it. Getting brass players to it has been, we've done a great job, and particularly at the student level and the professional level, we've done pretty well out of it. But actually, having enough cash behind you to actually bring the general public in, that takes a whole other level of cash, which we never quite had. But look, incredibly proud of what we put together over that time. Really, really proud.
So this is the 10th year of the Brass Festival, and it's the last year of the Brass Festival under sort of this management, and I understand if it does go on again next year, it'll be different people running it. Looking back over the 10 years, is there anything that you think now, gee, I wish I'd done that differently, or I wish I hadn't done that, or are you sort of fairly happy with how things have gone?
Out of the entire time, there's perhaps, absolutely no way I'm going to mention names, but I would say there's been one dud act out of that entire time that made a bit of a difference to 1 year. But other than that, absolutely not. No, there's nothing you can do. You've got to keep going. You've got to look forward all the time. And, even looking at that, the difficulties that first year created, nothing would get going if you knew how hard things were. Everybody would just, sit on their hands and never do anything. So the only way, in my opinion, to actually get something going is to get in there, jump in, and swim as fast as you can, or there's a saying, something like that. But that's the only way to do it. If you knew all of the things that went with it, sometimes you'd never do it. If I did it now, of course, there'd be a whole other level of knowledge that you would start it with, and there would be things using that knowledge that you do with. But if you just got to be brave, really.
Any tips for someone looking to run an international brass festival somewhere in the world? What's the number one thing to try and do first up, do you reckon?
Well, it is difficult to do in the sense that funding and trying to get sponsorship in this particular market is really tough. We couldn't have done it without having such an amazing group of volunteers, Tim being one of them for so many years, and all the others, people that most of you would never have perhaps seen at the festival. People like Veronica, who's just made such an amazing commitment to the festival. Sorry. Still gets me a bit emotional. For such a long time. John and Michael, of course, done amazing things. So you have to have that team behind. Otherwise, you've got no chance. You've absolutely got no chance. It's all about team. It's all about getting everybody together that actually believes in what you're doing. And if you can't do that, you're stuffed for a start. The sponsors and all that sort of stuff, you've just got to work your backside off to make sure you can get enough through the door. We've fortunately had great response from all the shops and things that have been supporting us over the years. But get your team right, and we were unbelievably lucky with this group of people that actually helped us.
And I understand it does take a great team, but I think it also takes a great visionary to get one of these things off the ground. So on behalf of Australian brass players, thanks Geoff Collinson, thanks John Collinson, thanks Michael Bertoncello for the part that he played in getting the Melbourne International Festival of Brass up and running, and looking forward to a really great final 10th year. Geoff, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.